pale ochre at the top, making sure you don't push the tape, which has been pressed down nicely. At the end of the day it doesn't matter because you've got a frame on it. Keep the pressure on. If you're finding it difficult to go into the little dots that appear of white, then go to the edge of the pastel and push in. But generally use the side of the pastel, coming down, taking the pressure off until you're about 3/4 of the way down, and it should just fade away just like you've taken the pressure right off it, and it's just faded away into little dots. So the main thing is, in the area up here, really press it in solidly, cover all that white, fade away. Now we've got the ochre, which is a bit darker, and we'll start at the bottom. And we'll go the opposite direction. Opposite direction going up, making sure you go right to the edges. And again, press really hard, covering all those white areas completely. Keep your fingers between, when you're working, keep the pastel in between two fingers that are holding the page nice and solidly, so that you don't crinkle the page. It's very easy for it to all crinkle up into a crease, so keep your fingers on either side. And then with this one, start fading up, fading away, until you get a nice blend going up to nothing. So when you get up to here, take the pressure right off, about here. Don't press hard when you're up to the top. Now, you know, you can have a thicker bottom on it.
And what colour are you using?
I'm using a dark brown. And then go a little bit thinner, but keep the spacing between them the same as you go up. Down here, just fill this up. And if you want to, you just come in with an angle on your pastel, and it fills the whole thing up, you see. And then take the pressure off at the top. If you press really hard up here, you're going to press through to the paper underneath, and you don't want to. Later on when you scratch back, you want to be able to scratch through that without it showing up too much. If you press too hard, it will definitely stay there. Okay, now we want an ochre. Where is an ochre? Oh, gosh. Bit of ochre at the top. So it's pale ochre now, so I'm just going to go through with my ochre and fade down. About that much, that'll do. And I'll get my burnt sienna, and I'm going to start here, pressing really hard. This is the quickest technique, and this is why we're doing this. But for that one, see, I've used the wriggling to do this, but it takes a lot longer. So just, if you are able to go really fast, then that's what you do. Wriggling sort of random wriggles, and then coming right down. And you see how the more you do this, the more friction is involved, and the hotter the pastel gets, and the more comes off. So you can use a nice warm room with the heater going. Will get you, these will be a lot creamier. Now come down to Van Dyke brown and do the bottom. That's it. Go right to the edge, and then take the pressure off as you come up. Okay, so let's get to that stage, shall we? I'm using purple to go with, this is a complementary colour to yellow, so when we do our fronds on our punga, it'll be, you know, it'll lift the yellow a bit. This is going to end up quite dull, so you're going to, because I'm going over with black here, see on the edges, so coming through, press one end, so I'm pressing really hard with one end and just blurring it out. Press really hard with one end. Sometimes you'll get the edge of the pastel will have hardened a bit, so you've got to sort of break through a bit of a calcified end. Okay, so you can come through and just get that to there. Will have hardened a bit, and do good size rounded sort of ovals. Don't go too small unless you really want to spend hours and hours. So you just come through, and you don't have to sort of take it out absolutely clean. And then go in between and do more elliptical. So stretch out that oval a bit more. Coming through, and on both sides, So it's just like when we're doing the branch and you've got the lines. As they go around the branch will get narrower and narrower, and then to a long elliptical one,
kind of like a brick,
and then you just have a line in between. But try and keep them sort of roughly the right length of the middle one. Okay, so just get longer and longer and finish with a line. Okay, should we do that? Foreshortening this front frond. So it's coming up from here, up here like that, and then it's dropping forward, just like foreshortening a leaf. So coming down to there. Don't go too far down into the trunk, because if you've pressed hard it's not going to scratch back. So then we've got the two top bits. Cross them, don't make them too big, don't make them too small either. And then you come down and dot, just put a few dots if it helps to know where the edge of your frond's going to be. So that's the front of the frond, you can't see the back of it. And then you come through and you scratch back, just like when we're doing the lines on the branch. They get wider as they come forward, because you're seeing the gap properly. It's not going over the curve of the top of the frond. So close together at the top, and then wider, and go to about that wide, and you can be in the middle of each one if you want. Doesn't really matter too much for this one, it's just okay. And then finish down here, and then come through, and at the top you just go in one direction and scratch it back, doing just zigzags. Zigzag, zigzag on the side, and then when you get to about here, just slightly go the other direction, then come down, zigzags. It's not about getting rid of all of the white on these, it's about leaving a bit of the dark, and see at the ends, point, you see, and then meet in the middle, and then at the ends have a gap, go to a point. If it's easier, turn the page to help with using the scratching. If you need to turn the page, turn it. Each one goes just a nice long tapered point. Okay, alright. Eggs. Then go to a point and zigzag back, going to about halfway towards the next. And so I'm remembering they're coming from here, not from here. They're coming up, travelling through to the side, and then coming down. I'm seeing the front side of this one. Okay, and then I've got the other side. It would be going through, you see. So you can just see the top edge of it as it disappears behind. Okay, then I'll come down with the top. Same sort of thing as this one. I want to really clean this top end up so it's quite white, so we get a nice contrast. So you can come through quite strongly with this and just really clean that top edge up. And then start going down the same as the other ones, either way. So I'll go through a few of them just to see, go through, zigzag, zigzag, going to a tapered point, zigzag, zigzag, until you've got the end. Then you'll do the same on the other side, so you come through, same again, and then you've got your top bit, and you'll do that, same as the other side, and then you'll go through to your next layer, which is just side on, so you're not going to see that top little bit. Okay. And then again you'll just scratch through. So another one there. And I think it's probably easiest just to do the one at the back, really. So you just come through at the back and you just go, remember we're coming up from here, so I come up, don't go up too high. It's the same thing as the front, but we're seeing where it joins the trunk rather than the point, the front end. So we're seeing the back end. So there, close together, getting wider, and same thing, you're going like this, just to clean up the top edge, coming down, cleaning it up, and then go the opposite direction, just like this one, but it's just facing away from you. Okay, so should we go through and do that one?
Can we do our lines like boom boom and get like...
We're just going to really scratch that one back to white, well the colour of the the pale ochre that's soaked into the page underneath. And then down here we'll start and do the zigzags again, because it's the front part that you can see. And down, and the other side, zigzags again, meeting in the middle. You've got to remember that they're starting down here on the trunk, not up here. So you're not joining them together up here, they're joining down here somewhere. So we'll start up here, we'll come out with the knife edge of the pastel, and then just a nice small twist around there. Then go to another one on the other side, a little bit of a twirl, and then come through. And this one's more of an elliptical shape because it's coming towards you, you see. And just do one more, just going the opposite way. You see, and if you can have little bits coming up like that, you see, because that's where all those little unfurling pieces are. So, and you can go to being, you know, really detailed if you want, but it's not necessary because it's really just the look you're going for.